So, today, the mental health talk is taken from, I guess this could be considered a 10-minute tantra. I guess it is a 10-minute tantra. So, the 10-minute tantra today is from the New Soups. Check this out. So, the New Soups posted this tweet. It says, "My wish for all of you is that you can get the help that you need, and I encourage you to if you are able." If y'all don't know the New Soups, we have hosted the New Soups a couple of times or raided the New Soups a couple of times. And one of the really cool things about Soups is that when you raid, I'm not sure of their pronouns. I think it's she, her, but just in case, they will draw you like a little doodle for your raid. Like you can request like whatever you want and they'll like draw a little doodle. So like for instance, let me bring this up real quick. Where is it? Here it is. For instance, this is a doodle that Soups did of O2, which is really heckin' cool, and I love it. So yeah, so I love Soups, and I would highly recommend checking Soups out. The New Soups. Yeah. Super cute. So, Soups posted this and said, I want to quickly write in here that I am feeling so good today. I've been on a low-dose antidepressant/anti-anxiety medication since January 1st, so it's been approximately 6 weeks since I started. We started noticing really clear signs of improvement about 5 weeks in. I feel so different, so much better. I have not felt this way in actual years. I've been just kind of living with my symptoms and validating them to myself. Like, it's actually insane. I kept thinking that my depression slash anxiety wasn't bad enough to get help for, but this little bit of push has been so incredible. I just cleaned the house. I'm able to do small care tasks for myself without it draining the life out of me. I've been doing laundry. I just did the dishes. I'm waking up at 9 and feeling ready to get out of bed and do things. I spent most of the last 2-ish years in a state of barely managing and telling myself I should get over it and be better. This is crazy. I'm grateful, and I was scared to start meds at all. This journey is very new and unfamiliar to me, but I am so grateful. Even now, I keep thinking it's somehow a trick and that it won't last, but I am so grateful for even a week of feeling this way. So this is a super, like, this is such a great post for so many reasons. And so I want to talk about sort of like a few concepts in this post. The first one is sort of like the stigma around medication. I think that a lot of people worry about medication because it sort of feels like the easy way out or something, like you should be able to handle it all on your own or something. And I think that one of the really important things to keep in mind about medication, one of the things that I say a lot, is that medication is not some magic pill that is going to solve all your problems. Medication for like antidepressants and anti-anxiety is the way that I view it is it just sort of helps you get your face out of the mud so that you can breathe. So like if every day you wake up feeling bad, like if every day you feel like your face is in the mud, like medication can be an amazing way to sort of get your face out of the mud so that you can start doing the work that you need to do in order to heal. And I think that a really good way to sort of self-diagnose for yourself, don't self-diagnose, but a really good way to sort of like figure out if something is going on is to keep like a mood journal where you don't even have to like write anything down in terms of how your day was. I mean, you can if you want, but just like a little tracker where you mark like, how you're feeling, whether it's like a scale of 1 to 5 or like a happy face, a sad face, or an angry face, or like whatever, just like seeing how often you are feeling down. And like more than half of your week is feeling bad, I would say even more than a few days in your week are feeling bad every single week, then I would say like it might be something to look into, getting medication. The other thing that I wanted to talk about in this post that I think is really important is this part that Soups talked about where they say, I kept thinking, here it is, a little bit up. I have not felt this way in actual years, and I had just kind of living with symptoms and validating them to myself. I kept thinking my depression, anxiety wasn't bad enough to get help for. So this is something that happens a lot, where a lot of the time our mind does this thing where it will convince us that, you know, everyone is going through this, or it's not that bad. And so we don't seek help. And it's a really, really insidious trap that we fall into, where, because on the one hand, our mind can convince us that we're all alone and that no one else is going through this. And so, like, there's no way that I can get help for this because I'm all alone. And that's devastating. And on the other end, it can also convince us that, like, this is completely normal and that everyone is going through this. And so we don't get help. And so either side of the spectrum that you fall on, you don't get help. And what's really important to remember is that, like, yes, lots and lots of people go through this, and so that there is help out there for you. And just because lots and lots of people go through this doesn't mean that you shouldn't get help. The next concept that I sort of want to talk about is this concept of homeostasis. So if y'all don't know about the concept of homeostasis, usually it's used in the context of temperature. So humans sit at a temperature of like 98.6, I think, or 90, yeah, I think that's right, 98.6, and we stay at that temperature for the most part. There's like subtle variation like between humans, but most of us sit at 98.6, and our body functions best when we stay at that temperature, right? If we vary a few degrees, then we have like a fever, or, you know, like whatever. And But the interesting thing is that our whole body, including our mind, engages in this process of homeostasis, because obviously stability is preferable, right? Like we want to be stable. Unstable is not like a good thing typically, right? So our body like tries to keep us stable, and our mind does this too. And this is a really important concept that I learned from Dr. K that I don't think that a lot of people think about, which is that like our mind is not designed for happiness. Our mind is designed for survival. And now that survival has become slightly more of a given, there are still people that, you know, struggle with survival. But now that like society and culture has sort of like dealt with survival for us in a lot of ways, the evolution hasn't really caught up to sort of help us with happiness instead of survival. And so our mind will do things to help us survive that are not actually ideal for our happiness. And one of the ways that it does this, one of the ways that it maintains the homeostasis of like what, you know, whatever we're going through, is that it will come up with perfectly logical explanations why you should stay stuck. And I can't imagine that anyone here hasn't experienced this, but like you'll be thinking about like something that you want to do or something that you want to overcome, and your mind will give you all of these reasons why you can't do it, why it's not possible, or why you shouldn't do it. And they all make perfect sense. And here's the thing, like, of course they make perfect sense. They have to make perfect sense, because otherwise we wouldn't listen to them. You know, if they didn't make perfect sense, then we would be like, shut up, dude, what are you talking about? I'm just going to do the thing. That doesn't make any sense. But they do, and that's what's so insidious. And so, like, I really want you all to sort of look out for, like, as you're going through your lives and sort of trying to, like, overcome obstacles, I want you all to look out for when you notice that like you want to accomplish something and your mind is giving you a whole bunch of reasons why you can't do it, and say, oh, like my mind is trying to like maintain the homeostasis here. So like, sure, it may be super hard to do this. Sure, mind, like I hear you. I hear you that it may be super hard to do this and that there are lots of obstacles in the way, and everything that you're saying makes sense, and I'm going to do it anyway. And that's not always easy. You know, like you can't always do that. You can't always say, and I'm going to do it anyway. But just sort of every time you're able to sort of acknowledge like, oh, this is my mind presenting me with a whole bunch of reasons of why I can't do this. Every time you're able to do that, the mechanism of that particular homeostasis is going to break down a little bit more, because awareness precedes control. Like you get by gaining awareness of something, you're able to control it better. When you don't, and like a great example that, again, like Dr. K uses all the time for this, is like when you get your mouth numbed at the dentist and then you try to like eat or like chew something, like it's just hopeless. Like you have no control over your mouth because it's numb. You have no awareness of it. And so similarly in the mind, like when you gain awareness over things, you are able to have greater control over them. And that's my 10-minute tantra. So if you are watching this over on YouTube, please feel free to, you know, like, comment, subscribe if this was useful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments.